Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the Ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Real Deal. This is the Ambassador at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. And yes, we are definitely off the reservation. With me tonight is my producers, Kyle Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
And my other lovely producer, Wendy West.
Why, hello there.
Oh, we got a great show tonight. My co-host here, Maggie Yee. Say hi, Maggie.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Great. Good to see you.
And then we got some really talented people in the studio tonight. They're the leaders, they're the movers and the shakers in Arizona in the film industry. We have James Lee. Say hello, James.
Hey, how you doing, Ambassador?
Ambassador's all in, and Melissa Farley.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to be talking about what's going on in the film industry, and that's why Wendy was kind enough to stay with us for a little bit and talk about these people. And she's the one that introduced me to them, actually, and nice folks. So with that, I want to say I want to thank the people in Orlando that took us to Orlando, Smart Community Exchange, the City of Orlando, the World Trade Center of Orlando. They flew us over there about a month ago or 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did a show there. And they entertained us, and it was just great. And thank you, Hyatt Hotel, for letting us do our show at the hotel. Our sponsor, Graves Propane, in offices in northern Arizona. Family-owned business, John and Susan Graves. Please buy your propane from Graves Propane. They've been serving Native Americans for a long time. Humate International, that's my company, HUMATE.com. I produce minerals for organic agriculture. I ship them worldwide. One of my biggest customers is the Dole Food Company, and they use it on everything that they grow all over the world. And then our other sponsor, Swisher Air Conditioning, they're donating a unit to a low-income Native American family in Arizona. This is a $10,000 unit at no cost to the family. Please consider being a sponsor on our show. We'd really love to have you on our show. If you like it, share it as you have. Download the new app, right, Kyle?
Yep, and they can find you on iTunes as well.
That's right. And we want to thank our listeners all over the country, Native Americans, all Americans. I also want to thank our listeners down at Channel 3, anchor Jamie Soretta, hashtag Valley Treasure. And have you guys ever heard of the Garden Guy?
Actually, yes, I have. Is he listening too?
Yeah, well, let me tell you.
Hello, Garden Guy.
Yeah, the Garden Guy, Dave Owens, he's on Channel 3, and he tells everybody what to do and what to grow and everything. Well, he's taken on my product, the product you see me producing in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he took his first shipment this morning, and you'll see my product in Garden Guy bags with his picture on it. So that's going to be new, and him and I are going to be. I'm going to probably get him in here on the show, but it's going to be big because he has a hell of a following.
Well, congratulations.
That guy has got a big time following, and he said, "Hey, your stuff's the real deal." So I want to start using it. The American Indian Center of the Great Plains. I'm a partner in that. That's in Kansas City, Missouri, with Johnny Leonard. He is Cheyenne Arapaho, and him and I are putting that together. Now I want to say something to our Native American listeners at Navajo. Yate Dene, Dennis Yellow Horse, Hadish Banana Quetzala, Navajo Nation, Quetzala, 505 Redskins fan club, big fan club that Navajos belong to, and the number 505 represents the area code in New Mexico. And now I want my Che, Peter McDonald, who you've met, and you and Kyle met. We did 4 shows together. He was the chairman of the Navajo Nation. He's current president of the Navajo Code Talkers. He's going to say something to our listeners in Navajo.
Yate shas toy sezane setelke sheje kent neshike no kliniki o shidi Peter McDonald dashne aska hatzahon slobet ani bashin ado tsakane dashnale ashi dashche todich ini eba esetta shada halya kododi anini eba hanne no kodoy ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse ni hicho yolwol akota nini be edeba hanne the real deal wol yo jo koe hashine land ne says yes yadal lahada ba lahaba lahadal no die do kot eda ebni na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no ya halnegi da nini jo edeba honne Ako ikena slagi sto banda yolni to banda notra Graves Company will yov la shibe da no sandai da jo kodo kushi ut di ikena slau kodo kuichi na long kodo ni yati.
Thank you, Peter. Wendy, did you ever read the book I gave you?
I did. Actually, I made about halfway through. I still need to finish it. I had to memorize some scripts, and so I had to stop.
It's interesting.
It is. It's extremely intriguing.
Yeah.
What the being a code talker and being able to have a language that nobody else in the world can decipher, and for him to be one of the head people to really put that out there and to help the United States, it's just amazing.
Yeah. You know, they did a movie called Wind Talkers. Remember that with Nicolas Cage? And these kids were all young. They were 18 years old. And there was some people working up on the reservation and during World War II, and the Japanese and the Germans were breaking every code we had. They'd break them. And so somebody told the Marine Corps that they need to use these Navajo kids and use their language to develop a code. So the commandant of the Marine Corps in Washington, D.C., thought about it for a while, and he says, well, we'll go out and see if you can recruit some of those Navajo kids, but don't tell them what we're going to do. Just see if they're willing to fight for our country. And they went out and asked him, said, would you like to be a Marine? He said, oh, yeah, we'd like to be in the Marine Corps. So they started enlisting them into the Marine Corps, and they took them all out to Camp Pendleton out here at San Diego. And they got several hundred of them out there, and they had no idea when they got out there what was going to take place. So they had a separate barracks where they put these kids in this barracks, and the commander of Camp Pendleton went in there and told those kids, they said, we want to use your language to develop a code. And because your language is not written. At that time it was not written. And nobody knew it but them. And they said, okay, we can do that. So, but they said, you can't tell anybody what we're doing. You can't tell your parents. You can't tell your sister. You can't tell nobody. And you got to stay in this barracks. And when you leave the barracks, you got to leave all your papers and your pencils and your notes. And if you go into San Diego or whatever, and you can't tell any of these other Marines what you're doing. This is top secret stuff. So they said, okay, we'll do it. So then what they did is they took our alphabet. So the first letter in our alphabet is A. So they took the word, they said, let's think of we want you guys to think of a word that starts with A in your language, a Navajo word. So the letter A was the word for apple. In Navajo, the word apple is belasana. That's the word for apple. So then they went on to letter B. And he says, what word would you guys like to use that's common amongst you Navajos for the letter B? And they said, shush. And that means bear in Navajo. So then they went to the letter C. And they said, what would be a good word in Navajo for the letter C? So they said the word for cat. And that's the word, and then the Navajo word's mussy. And then they went on down, but they kind of got, they couldn't figure out what was the best word for J. One said, well, we could use this, and said to use this. So then they all said, okay, we know what the letter J would be. And it was the Navajo word for jackass. Kyle.
That is awesome.
No, I'll tell you, we've done some great shows in here, man, and with Kyle and Wendy. But I think these 4 shows were the best. Yeah, Kyle calls them the Golden Bundle, and they are. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you get a chance to listen to them. Now, I want to introduce my business associate who lives outside of Washington, D.C., and him and I work with Jay Stryker and out of New York. And they're one of the market makers. They're like Goldman Sachs, family-owned business, and they have offices all over the world. And when they come into Phoenix and they want to do some stuff in Indian country and they want to know what's going on as far as economic development goes at Navajo or any of the other tribes, that's where I get involved. And Mark has been in here, been on the show several times. He's traveled all over the world. He's a Marine, retired Marine, and he's going to say something to our listeners in Spanish because a lot of the listeners, especially like the Pasquayaki tribe and a lot of the tribes in California, they don't speak their language anymore. It's gone. So their language of choice is Spanish. So he's going to say something to our Spanish listeners.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y YouMade Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. He's pretty good, huh?
Ooh, el embajador. It's just I love it.
He knows how to roll it. Okay, now my co-host, ladies and gentlemen, is from Hong Kong, and she's going to say something in Mandarin Chinese. She speaks Mandarin and Cantonese. She's a famous jewelry designer, and we have to say something today, or I guess it was yesterday. In where she comes from in Hong Kong, she takes the trains. They have these high-speed trains. So she's trying to learn how to drive. And yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, she passed her driving test. Let's give it a hand, Kyle. Yeah. She passed her driving test, so I was really proud of her.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Maggie, say something to our listeners in Asia like you do every week.
Thanks. 其实这个节目是说美国印第安人的历史文化。Western Post 访问所有美国的印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskins Kansas City Chief 这个名字，但是有的花园要改变这个名字。陈尼斯·王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们乐器期待每一位的参与和支持。这里是王马先生，还有出售有机涂鸦叫优美。如果有需要，打我美国电话6025151073。Thanks so much for having me on Real Deal. That is such my honor.
Thanks, Maggie. And I'll tell you, she has people listening because they contact her through this WeChat, and I guess because they don't have Facebook and Instagram in China. So they're all on WeChat.
Huh.
So
They just stopped.
they just started?
Yeah, no, they not allow you go to Facebook and Instagram. They stop you.
Right, they stop her. So anyway, they communicate through WeChat, which I guess is another social media thing.
Let's make sure that doesn't get shut down too.
Yeah,
That's scary.
and so these people are listening to her, and they're sharing it. And they've actually contacted her and said they want to meet me. And we had 2 people in from Taiwan, didn't we, Kyle? They flew in because of Maggie. And they wanted to meet me. They wanted to talk about taking my product into Taiwan and some other countries for organic gardening and organic growing. And they were so excited, we actually took them to New Mexico, didn't we?
Yes. Yesterday, Chow, he talked to me. He just sold to Yume, to our the lawyer in China. He says it's very exciting to do this business with us. This is a really good news.
Yep. No, that's good. Yeah, so that's all good. Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest growing internet radio show in the country, radio station. 200 shows. 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell everybody who's number 1 here.
The Real Deal.
That's right. Absolutely, without a doubt. And we're number one because of you guys that are listening. And we want to thank the fans of all the teams that honor Native Americans. We want to thank the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks for listening and honoring Native Americans by using these names. I tell everybody, hell, hey, look, if we're not offended by the names, these names that honor Native Americans, then why the hell should you be offended? So, and I also tell them, to me, the people that are behind this, it's like social and cultural genocide to Native Americans. It's the same thing that was done in Germany to the Jewish people. Burn the books, get rid of the race, in 100 years, they'll just be Americans. And that's why I can't let this happen. So with that, we're going to take a short break. We're going to play a song, and then I'm going to introduce my guests, James and Melissa, and Wendy's going to help me with that.
When youth will pass away, what will they say about me? When the end comes, I know there's but just a gigolo's. Life goes on without me. I'm just a gigolo, and everywhere I go, even though the party is playing, pay for every dance, selling each romance. Ooh, what they say. Say about me when the end comes, I know it was just a gigolo. Life goes on without me, 'cause I ain't got nobody. Nobody cares for me. Nobody cares for me. I'm so sad and lonely. Want some sweet mama, come and take a chance with me, 'cause I ain't so bad. You know, baby, it's a love song all of the time. Even on the beat, on the beat. Bop, buzzy, buzzy, bop, city bop. Yeah.
That's right. We're back, and nobody cares for me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
I care for you, Chief. Come on now.
I love my music, man. Okay, I want to introduce you folks to actually three famous people because Wendy's here, and she's famous, and she's in the... Actually, the people that I'm here with, I got to meet them through Wendy.
Yeah.
And
I only hang out with the best people,
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right on that. And great people. James Lee, ladies and gentlemen, is in the studio with us. He got his start in film when he made backyard movies with friends in high school and brought his camera to every school event possible, finding an absolute love for creating things, telling stories, making people laugh, cry, and think. He went on to pursue a degree in film production and moved to Phoenix to work with Adobe in channel management. During this time, he kept his skills sharp by producing shorts, music videos, commercial work, and eventually took over responsibilities of director of film at Filmstock. And that's a big deal. I went to that. Wendy had me out there. And through his work with the festival and community, he now co-owns Something New Media with Devin Burko and keeps the Filmstock dream alive. And that's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. We got to support that here in Arizona. The other lovely lady here in the house with us tonight in the studio is Melissa Farley. She got her start in media production at Gannett with the Arizona Republic. She's a reporter. On discovering that Melissa had talent and ambition as an actress, she quickly expanded her responsibilities and influence and now covers trending content, entertainment, and social media as a producer. She's been working with Filmstock for the past 4 years and the Actors Liaison, serving to promote actors, their work, involvement in the community with the Filmstock Arizona Actors Showcase. Now, Wendy, I want you to say, you're the one that introduced me to these great people. They're visionaries. I want you to talk a little bit about how we met, but talk to everybody about you, an accomplished actress, and the Filmstock, and who these people are, and why and what we want to do as a mission to try to help the film industry in Arizona.
All right. Well, I have to tell you, I love being a part of Filmstock, and I'm actually really lucky that last year during Filmstock, they let me be one of the announcers. I got to announce some of the sections of the films that were playing, and it was so amazing. I just love being part of it, but also being part of the community and help bringing the community together is very, very important to me. I am an actress, but I'm also a very, very strong advocate to keep the community together and to help get more funding for independent films. And one thing about Filmstock, not only do they play local films that were made here, but they play films from all over the world.
Right.
It's amazing what they get in. I mean, the submissions are just incredible. So if anybody gets a chance to go to Filmstock, I highly, highly recommend it because you will definitely see films you would not see anywhere else. It's very diverse. Highly, highly recommend it.
That's great. You know, and James, I want to get you and Melissa and Wendy's opinion on this. You know, I grew up in New Mexico, and Bill Richardson is a friend of mine, and he was the governor, and he was a senator and state representative. But when he first started out, this is a long time ago, he was from Mexico, but he was an American, but his family, his mother or dad was a Mexican citizen. He was living in Mexico City. So he come up to New Mexico, and he wanted to run for Congress. So they told him, they said, well, if you're going to be a politician in New Mexico, you really need to get the Navajo vote and the Native American vote. And he said, okay. And they said, the people you need to go see is the Yellow Horse family. And that was my wife that passed away. That's her family. And very prominent people in New Mexico and amongst Native Americans. So he said, well, where do they live? And he says, well, they're out in Gallup, which is western New Mexico, and that's where I'm from. And so he came out there, and we met with him, and we had a great conversation with him. He's a hell of a nice guy. And so he said, I really want to, I said, well, what's your agenda? What are you going to do for Native Americans? And he said, this is what I want to do. And he did. And he was elected, and we got out there and had people vote for him, and Navajos and non-Navajos, and got him elected, and he was very good for the state of New Mexico. And but one of the things he did is later on after he went to Washington, then he kind of semi-retired and he'd come back, and anyway, he enticed the filming industry through tax breaks and incentives, and they moved into New Mexico, and they're in there big time. I don't know if you know it, but Lionsgate, all of them, they have huge studios. And a lot of these movies they make in New Mexico. Are you guys familiar with that?
Yeah. For 2 years, Filmstock actually, we had a show in Albuquerque.
Right.
So we were there at the Chemo. And
I know where that is.
Yeah. It's a beautiful venue. We were really lucky to be there. I got to know a lot of the film folks there, but I also got to meet a lot of the people in the film commission and the film offices there. And yeah, you're absolutely right. They've got a great community. But they also have they have a government that supports it, and that helps absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I was having lunch today with a friend of mine, and he's going to be coming on the show here in a couple of weeks. And he works. He runs political campaigns and very sharp, very astute. And I was telling him about you guys coming in tonight on the show. And then we got into the conversation during lunch about what's going on in New Mexico. And he said, yeah, I know. He says they got a lot of incentives to go to New Mexico and build these big studios. And I says, well, why don't they do it in Arizona? He says, well, the legislative people don't like the Hollywood crowd.
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah. And he said all they need to do is get people like John Voight, and who are actors, and who's the other one? The guy with the big mustache.
Burt Reynolds?
Yeah, him and the other one that's on TV all the time. He has a show. Christ, I'm drawing a blank here, but
We'll call him the Mustache Man.
the mustache.
the
man.
guy.
Yeah, I'll think Selleck.
Tom
yeah.
Tom Selleck?
Tom Selleck.
Does he still have a mustache?
No, he does not. Does he?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Well, he did the last
I
time I
bet you
seen
he
him.
dyes it.
I love Tom Selleck.
Yeah, they said to get him.
Good mustaches don't die; they just kind of fade away.
Well,
Fade to gray.
Mine's a
Fade to
good
gray,
one.
I love it.
Mine's a good one because Maggie makes sure it looks good. But no, they said get John Boyd and Tom Selleck down to the legislature and work the legislature, and I'll guarantee you they'll pass it. That's what he said, and I'll guarantee he's right.
Oh yeah.
This guy's sharp. He is very politically astute, and so he said that. And you know what was funny was Tom Selleck. The night I got married in Las Vegas years ago, I was a high roller, an ex-high roller at Caesar's Palace, and I was in there having dinner with my wife and her sister and some other people, and the GM at the casino brought Tom Selleck over and he sat at our table. Yeah.
What was that like?
It was cool. He's just an average guy,
Oh, I don't believe that. Not with a mustache like that.
Well,
That's not an average guy.
well, he was average that night.
That's not an average mustache.
and
That mustache speaks louder than words. I
Yeah,
want to hear
but-
stories.
but
Oh, yeah.
we drank a lot of liquor, so maybe I missed it.
So we'll just chalk it up to that, right? What happens in Vegas? Good for you.
What
Good for
happens
you.
in Vegas
Yeah.
stays in Vegas, right? Melissa, tell me what you've been doing. You went to Iceland.
I did. I just got back from Iceland. I was there for 2 weeks. That was really fantastic. But other than that, I've been with James for 4 years, and we're getting ready to kick off the next season of Film Fest. And we're doing the Actor Showcase again, which is my part that I run. So we're about to open up for submissions for that. So that's exciting. And I just started Fun Size Production. So I'm starting to make my own short films. I teach improv classes and scene study. So I've just been kind of trying to stay active and create. That's my whole focus, is to always be creating something.
Yeah, Melissa is one of the, I just love having her on the Film Stock team because she's one of the most active people in the film community, and she just has a huge heart Like
Well, you can
you
tell
ask,
she loves
you
what
ask
she's
her for
doing.
anything, she's there for you. So
She knows what she's doing.
I do.
Now, are you doing a lot of the stuff where we went to at Sun Studio in Tempe?
Yeah. So, are you talking about the social that we went to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every month we try to do film stock socials where we will get a bunch of filmmakers together, and it's really fantastic because a lot of times there's a lot of new people that really want to get into acting or filmmaking, and they don't know necessarily who people are in the industry, or they're intimidated to sort of approach someone.
Yeah.
And the socials are really laid back. They're super chill. They're just an easy way to kind of get to know some folks and make those introductions in, a no pressure environment. So we've had a lot of success, and I've seen a lot of new faces, which I love. So
Yeah, I was very impressed. Maggie and I were out there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And these guys at Sun Studio, maybe they took this building. I guess it belonged to ASU.
Collins
Collins
College.
College.
Yeah.
Collins College.
Maybe it
Another
still
film
does.
school. Yeah.
And so they converted it into, they call it Sun Studios.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're doing everything out there that you'd want to do to make a documentary or whatever you want to do in the
Yeah,
film
pretty much
business.
full service production from what I
Yeah,
understand.
it
Like, they
is.
have,
I was
they have
totally
rooms,
impressed.
They have rooms for everything. And what I was actually floored about was, for the most part, when you see like shared production space like that, it's very expensive, right? And it's like almost prohibitively expensive, to be honest with you. But when I asked them for the rates, I was kind of floored, and I was like, man, I wish I knew about these guys like 2 years ago. It would really helped me out.
Well, you know
because
what he
can-
does, right? Like what his background is?
What's that?
He is all about he just loves like B horror films. And so that's his whole
Oh, yeah,
business,
Darren?
an MO. And so he's wanted to make a place where people could make films in an affordable way because he's
Yeah.
always seeking
But
those
it's like
opportunities.
if you want to, like, one of the biggest challenges, like Melissa said, is getting to know more people, and a lot of that has to do with like having a space. Because if you're an independent contractor, which many filmmakers are,
Right.
they don't always have enough business or operations, so to speak, to justify like having a brick and mortar, like
Right.
a standalone
Well,
place.
no,
or
that's
paying
a
rent.
great place.
So, like, the fact that you can have a super affordable creative
Absolutely.
space
No, I picked
to
up on that.
collaborate with everyone else was just fantastic.
No,
So,
I'm a businessman. I picked up on that right away.
Yeah.
And I really am seriously thinking about trying to make a movie.
you should.
you should.
Are you going to
What kind
cast
of movie?
me in it?
What kind of movie are you
You
going to
better
Yeah.
cast me in it.
Oh,
I'll be
yeah.
bummed if you don't.
No, we'll call it The Real Deal.
Awesome. Can I play your producer?
Yeah, kick it ass
Can I
and
have
say the
Kyle
names.
produce with me?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm telling you, I'll do it. There's some people that heard me on the show here, and they said, they researched my life from testifying in front of the U.S. Senate and all the stuff I've done, and they said you need to write a book. And everybody I see on TV is writing a book. And so I got a book out, and it's a bestseller, and blah blah blah. And they said you need to write a book. And I said I don't. And they said no, we know how to do this. We know how to. All we got to do is just sit and interview you, and then we'll tell you, this is what should be in your book, and we'll even help you write it. And I said, is that legitimate? And they said, yeah,
Ghostwriter.
It's about as legitimate as Tom Clancy novels. So
I
yeah.
guess. And I said, well, okay. So they're seriously. They called me a couple of days ago, and they said, we really need to get you to write a book. I said, yeah, I'll write a book, but I'd really like to try to give it a shot at a movie or a documentary. And we've had, and Kyle and Wendy will tell you this, Lionsgate sent a filming crew here, and they've been here like 4 or 5 times, and they've come in from California and Las Vegas. They sit right in here, right in this studio, and film me doing this show. They said, this is really unique, man. I mean, nobody's doing what you're doing. You're out there taking them on, taking the gloves off. Political correctness stops at the elevator, and we support these names. We're Native Americans. These names don't offend Native Americans. And we'll take you we want to have you out on the field at Arrowhead Stadium. We want you at the schools in Lancaster, New York, and Wilmington, Delaware, where these people, these political correctness idiots went and took advantage of my friends. And they told them, you got to change the name of your team because it's derogatory towards Native Americans. And that name has been, they cherish that name, and it's not offensive. And these are people, a lot of them I have never met. But I tell you, I love them to death, man, because they're calling me up. They've been on my show 10 times and saying, you're not offended? I say, hell no, we're not offended, for Christ's sake. We got schools 250, 300 miles north of Phoenix, Arizona, on the Navajo reservation, Red Mesa Redskins, Shiprock Chiefs, Tuba City Warriors, Sanders Braves, St. John's Redskins. And these are all names that honor Native Americans. The teachers are Native Americans. The bus drivers are Native Americans. And so, it's like I said, it's a phony civil rights scam.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that was a revelation to me when I met you. And by the way, I haven't had a chance to say this yet, but thank you so much for having us on the show and me on the show. It's a big honor.
Well, I love what you and Wendy and everybody's doing.
It was such an eye opener for me because I only know, it's what I tell everyone that I mean. I only know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. Right.
Right.
So it was very interesting to hear your perspective and what is the real deal about it, because I only know what the media tells me.
Well,
I only know what Twitter tells me. So my question for you is, for everyone like me who this is kind of a recent revelation, what do you recommend we do about it, especially kind of to the filmmakers who might be listening, right? Like people who are telling the story of, what's happening in the United States. Because that's what I believe the role of filmmakers are for the most part, is they're telling the story. And if you kind of look at the films, and maybe this is kind of from my perspective, running the festival, I get to see the films that are submitted. And you kind of get this sense of this bigger narrative going on that's bigger than any one film. But it's influenced by everything. It's influenced by the culture. It's influenced by the media. So what kind of advice or words of wisdom would you give filmmakers, storytellers, and artists out there, especially when it comes to this issue?
Real easy. Educate, not eradicate. That's it.
Yeah. Explain that more.
Okay. You educate on where these names come from and why they are badges of honor, and why Native Americans are not offended by these names. And there's a lot of stuff out there. There's people that's wrote books, Andrew Bilodeau. I mean, there's a lot of really cool people, and you can go on the internet and find, if you really want to educate yourself, that there these people that want to try to take these names away. It's like I told you in the conference room. It's for their own personal gain. This Ray Halbritter, fake Indian, total fraud, total crook. He has as much business owning an Indian casino as you and I do. The guy's a total phony. And if you go back to our shows, Claudia Cheney, the assemblywoman from New York, she'll tell you what a fake and a phony this guy is. So he's trying to legitimize himself in Indian country, saying that these names are offensive to Native Americans. As I told you, Melissa, the Washington Post come out 3 months ago with a poll, 92% of Native Americans, and they didn't talk to white people, or black, they talked to Native Americans, not non-Native Americans. 92% said that they liked the names that honor Native Americans, and the other 8% weren't sure. So it's cut in stone, that it's a phony civil rights scam.
Interesting.
And you have people out there saying that it's racist, and then you have the media that's playing the race card. This is an easy story. Oh, we got a racist story tonight. Boy, that's going to get some. We'll get some momentum on that one. That the Washington Redskins is racist. And thank God that you got a guy like Dan Snyder, who I've never met, and he stands tough. We call him the gatekeeper. And they went to him and they said, "You need to change that name. It's offensive." And he told him to go to hell. He did. He told him to go to hell. Jump in the lake. We're not changing the name. So then they went to Lamar Hunt and Mark Donovan of the Kansas City Chiefs. You need to change that name. It's racist. They told him, go to hell. We ain't changing the name. So that was it. But these guys are tough. They're just telling them, hey, we're not changing the name. And if you don't like it, if you don't like our name, don't watch the game. And so. But there's a lot of things that are coming out, and there's a lot of things that you can research. For example, one of our listeners, several of our listeners actually, they're from Oklahoma, and they're Native Americans, and they listen to our show. Thank you. And they come on the show and email me. I tell them how to get a hold of me, call me, text me, email me, whatever. And they said, Ambassador, the word Oklahoma is an Indian word. The word Indiana is an Indian word.
So many of pretty much like if you look at a map of the of North America, pre-European influence, you basically see a whole lot of very familiar names. Cheyenne, right?
Absolutely.
I grew up north of Chicago, so Waukegan.
Yep.
There's it's so prevalent, and it should be such a huge part of who we are.
Yeah, it's America. It's our history.
Right.
And I tell everybody about Scottsdale. Well, what's Scottsdale? Cowboys and Indians, man.
Right.
Give me a break. But anyway, he come on and he said, well, if they want to change the name, does that mean we're going to change the name of Oklahoma? Because it means red-skinned people.
Really?
Yeah. Research it. Wikipedia.
Oh, no, I believe you.
No, but it is. I'm just saying.
You say it that emphatically, I'll believe anything.
but no, it's just incredible that these people play the race card.
So what should, again, for a person like me, I would call myself ignorant, right? And I don't think ignorant's a bad word. It just means I didn't know.
That's right. That's fair.
But for me, and I'm sure that there's a lot of other folks out there like this, I don't want to offend anybody.
Sure.
Right? So, how do I kind of further this topic if I kind of have this thing in the back of my head of oh, wait a minute, is this guy on Ambassador's side, or is he is he with the other guy? I've got a 92% chance here. So school me on on the culture, school me on how comfortable I should or shouldn't feel about that kind of thing.
Well, I think you should.
you know what I'm saying, though, right?
No, I get it. I get it. You're questioning whether you approach somebody and you don't want to.
Yeah,
offend
if this
them.
if this is acceptable small talk for other Native Americans that I meet.
Right.
So
well, that's why I just tell them educate, not eradicate.
There you go.
Look at the polls. I mean, and I try to educate them, and a lot of them, Native Americans are for it. Americans are 100% for it. I mean, they wanted to change the name of Indian School Road out here.
Really?
Yeah, they said that's offensive. They went to the city of Phoenix and said that we need to change the name of the Pima Freeway. We need to change the name of Indian School Road.
Well, isn't the term Indian come from the Europeans thinking that this was India, and then
and then there's then you have Native Americans.
We also have Payesta Peak now.
That's right, and you have Native Americans that are saying that we're not East Indians. We're not from India, and so you get into this great big convoluted conversation about who the hell you are and where the hell you come from. But I just say live and let live. But the big thing is when I see people trying to take advantage, and this crook, this guy, he got President Obama and he paid a lot of money, and this is all documented. Where he paid a lot of money to some fundraisers for President Obama to tell the Washington Redskins that they cannot build their stadium in the District of Columbia until they change their name. He did it.
Really?
That's right. That's a fact. That's a God-given fact. And so when I see people like that are reaching out, trying to take advantage, that's when I call them out. And I don't give a damn. That's probably why I don't have any sponsors.
Well, you definitely,
definitely.
So I'm going to tell you this: you definitely need to make a film, because one of the things that I look for, and the whole submissions team at Filmstock looks for, is just this kind of thing. We're looking for real stories, from real people, and the stories don't always have to be like documentary real, but it's just so fascinating when you get. When you get someone who's talking about an issue or a perspective that you had no idea even existed, like that to me is what's super fascinating, and that's what film production and media is all about. So,
No, I'm glad to do it, and I told the people from Lionsgate, I said, hey, I'll do it. He said, we want you out on Arrowhead Stadium. I said,
give me a cameo. I'll be the guy crossing the street with a briefcase.
Okay.
Nice.
But no, it's just amazing. But that's the reason why I'm here. I'm not here to make money. I'm just here to tell the truth, deliver the message, and Kyle and I do a hell of a good job, and Wendy chips in, and
Well, you're number one.
We're number one, and we got Maggie here broadcasting us in Asia.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what we're going to do, though. We're going to take a break. We're going to have a glass of wine, and we're going to play another song.
Sounds great.
That's right. This show is simply irresistible.
It is. I couldn't help but stay and hang out with you.
Oh, I'm so glad
Love
you did.
it.
I'm so glad you did because these people wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you.
Oh, thank you.
It's true.
Because
Thank you.
I enjoy and I'm so fascinated about the movie industry. I really want to try to make a movie.
Count me in.
Yep, absolutely. I just got to learn more, but once I learn, I'm a quick learner.
Well, the neat thing about being in the film industry here in Arizona is there's always meetup groups where you can meet up and meet people who know how to do what you want to learn, and they'll teach you about it. They'll talk to you about it. Another thing you could do is you could do like the film challenges too, but
Right.
also go to the different film things. So like go to Film Stock.
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
Film
yeah.
Stock, support the community, check out the films, and meet the filmmakers and learn from them.
Right. Well, you know, the guys that were in here, Robert Nuraki from Gold,
Yeah.
from Lionsgate, you know, they filmed me here. They said, "Man, Chief, this is awesome, man. We got it. Lionsgate wants to send us out here. They're picking up the check, and we're staying here. We want to film you here."
See, you already got the hard part taken care of.
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part is finding someone who wants to distribute your story and your content.
Yeah.
You got that.
Yeah, we got all the footage.
Now you just got to figure out the story that you want to tell. And I tell you what, like film, the way it works is, you know, kind of how James got started. You just got to pick up a camera and make something. Like you're not going to know what works and what doesn't, and you're not going to know what you like and what you don't like if you don't take that creative control and just start doing it, you know. And if 20 people see it, okay, that's fine. If 2,000 people see it, okay, that's fine. Like it's not about the result when you're first learning. It's about
Right.
that process, you know.
Yeah, and so these guys come in here and they got this high tech, expensive stuff. These cameras, you know, they said this camera costs, I don't know, $15,000 or whatever the hell it was.
Oh.
So they set up in here and right here where we're sitting, and I think a couple of times, and then they wanted to do filming out at my house
Okay.
in Paradise Valley. So we went out there and then we filmed
I
in
totally
the
wanted to raid your fridge. That's why.
yeah, and they filmed me in my home, and then they filmed Peter McDonald and I out in the guest house because I have a guest house. That's where he stays. They filmed us out there and out in front of the guest house. So then they said, okay, now we want to go to Winter Rock. That's the capital of the Navajo Nation, and it's up on the New Mexico-Arizona border. So we went up there, and they filmed us there in front of the Winter Rock. And they've been here, I think, 4 or 5 times. And so now they got all the footage, and now they're editing it, or I don't know what the hell they're doing.
And what are they doing with it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a film guy. I'm trying to figure that out and find out.
He's going to be sitting in front of the television one day and be like, "Oh, look, there I am."
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I had a good hair day.
Where do we go from here? but no, so they're wading through all that. And then the lady that was on our show that does documentaries, and she was going to come in tonight, but she's back in New York. She's filming a documentary, Susan Sember. And she is in the biz and very sharp lady. She's an attorney, film producer, and I wanted her to meet you guys. And she couldn't make it because she's traveling, but you will meet her. And so she was in here and did a show because she's a mutual friend of a friend. And so they come in here, I don't know, a couple months ago. And so she wants to help.
Yeah.
You know, and I says, look, let's just do it right. And one thing I learned in my life, and especially when I was over in Orlando with the World Trade Center that flew us over there, is it takes a team. It takes a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, guys like you and Melissa, Maggie, Wendy, Kyle, it takes a team to pull it off. Because, I mean, these are professional producers here, and she's an accomplished actress. I'm not. I'm just winging it here, but I guess I'm doing okay. But
You're rocking it, Chief. Come on now.
she's rocking.
You know it.
She's rocking. But no, it you know. So, but it takes a team in my business. You know, with my employees. You know, I count on my general manager to do this. I count on my employees to do this, and we kind of all pull it together. And I'm very nice. You know, I'm not a hard ass until you really piss me off. But no, I'm a cool guy, and I'm flexible. And my motto is one thing I'm real firm about, and that's being flexible. That's my motto in
I
life.
thought you were going to say something about being firm and being a hard ass, because like that would be the same thing, right?
No. One thing I'm real firm about, and that's being flexible.
I love it. Yoga time.
Yeah, yoga time. So we're going to start winding it up because we're running out of time, and I can't thank everybody, especially you, Wendy, for staying over.
Thank you.
So, Kyle, tee up our last song.
Well, I pulled out of Pittsburgh, I'm rolling down the eastern seaboard. I got my diesel wound up, she running like she never did before. There's a speed zone night. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. I got 10 more years in a sweet Georgia overdrive. I'm taking little white pills, my eyes are open wide. Well, I just passed the German wine. I've been passing everything inside. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. Well, it seemed like a month since I kissed my baby goodbye. Could have a lot of women, I'm not like some other guys. I could find one to hold me tight, but I could never believe it's right. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. Here we go. Well, the ICC checking on down the line. And I'm a little overweight and my logbook's way behind. But nothing bothers me tonight. I can dodge them scales alright. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. Well, my rig's a little old, that don't mean she's slow. There's a flame from her stack and the smoke rolling black as coal. Well, my hometown is coming in sight. If you think I'm happy, you're right. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight. 6 days on the road, I'm gonna see my baby tonight.
Yes, I've been 6 days on the road.
But you got to see me tonight.
And
Hello.
I got to see my baby tonight. Maggie, Wendy, Melissa.
Yeah,
James.
cheers.
We are all in.
And
We're all in
James.
on this deal.
Because it's the real deal.
Yeah, it's a real deal. And I want to thank everybody for coming in. But especially I want to thank my producers, Kyle Pratt and Wendy West.
Yay.
Yep,
Thank you.
they're the best. They're the best of the best. And Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is just phenomenal. And they really, really treat me good. And they like what I'm doing because Dave Pratt, he's the man. He's the major. He's the morning mayor. And when we met a long time ago, when we started this show, I met him in the conference room. And I had no idea, never met him before. I heard about him. And we met over there in the conference room. And he thought it was going to be about a 15-minute meeting, and we sat there for 2 hours.
That sounds like when I applied for the job here. I was supposed to be here for like 15 minutes, and 3.5 hours later, I left.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I walked out, he said, Chief, he says, you got to have a show here, man. You're the real deal. And I said, okay, let's go. So that's why I'm here. And wonderful people, family-owned business. And if you ever want to do a radio show, let me tell you, this is the place to come. And so I want to thank Maggie for being here. Say goodbye, Maggie.
Okay, goodbye. See you guys next Wednesday. Thank you for having me, Big Chief.
Big Chief's having Maggie and passed her driving test. And I want to thank Melissa Farley from Arizona Republic.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, and let me tell you something. You heard the show. If you think it's newsworthy, tell your people down there.
Deal. I will.
They should, because it is newsworthy. I mean, there's nobody doing what we're doing. James Lee, thank you.
Thanks. It's an honor to be here. FilmstockFilmFestival.com, December 2nd through 4th at the Harkins Valley Art.
That's right.
I will be there. You guys come on down. I will be there. I will seriously. It'll be so much fun.
She will be there.
In something sexy.
And I'll be there. And Melissa, do you want to tell them how to contact you?
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me everywhere on social media. That's what I do. Really long name, Melissa Ann Marie Farley. Find me, contact me. I will respond to you, and come hang out with us at Filmstock. We post socials every month, so follow the Filmstock Film Festival Facebook page, and we'll post those events every month. So come hang out.
Right. And be sure and look at our Facebook page, The Real Deal.
Yes.
Like us, send us stuff. We'll post it because, hey, we're here for you guys. You know, we'll give you the mic, and we'll do all that. And please buy propane from our sponsor, Grace Propane, Swisher Air Conditioner, and UMate International. You can contact me at yellowhorse.us or email me at info@yellowhorse.us, 602-540-3000. Please consider being a sponsor. And remember, in closing, I want to thank all of our people in the armed services here and abroad for protecting our great country. I'm here to tell the truth, deliver the message. All lives matter. And Kyle, yes, deplorable lives matter as well.
That's right.
That's right. No, we all do. We're all God's children. Don't ever forget that. So, Wendy, I guess it's time to sign it off.
All right.
So, Kyle, Wendy, tell everybody why the ambassador's here.
Kick ass and save names, Ambassador.
Kicking ass and saving names.
Why wouldn't we?
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.